A very good morning to all of you. I'm very pleased this morning I was able to speak to Datuk Sharifah, the Sarawak Minister in charge of MA63 affairs. I think it's very, very important that Sarawakians now get an update on exactly what is happening with MA63 negotiations with federal government and also the role played by the Sarawak government. So thank you very much for coming, Datuk Sharifah. I know you're very busy and you're making a special time for me, so I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Datuk, as you know, the Sarawak government has been negotiating on the MA63 issue together with Sabah, of course, since the Najib administration. So we've gone through basically 4 prime ministers. I understand that we've gotten back quite a lot of things at the federal level. That Sarawak has gotten back many of the rights that were enshrined in MA63. Perhaps for our listeners who are watching this for the very first time, maybe you can give us a summary of what are the key areas that Sarawak has gotten back from the federal government and how Sarawak has benefited from the negotiations with all the 4 administrations.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Yeah, for inviting me today. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. MA63 negotiation has been going on, as you rightly say, since Najib's time, and I think at the era of the late Tok Nan. And during Tok Nan's time, the late Tok Nan's time, actually many have been devolved to us administratively. Maybe like 13 administrative matters. These are administrative. So we have been quite successful since the late Tok Nan's time. So when Ayamah Bomat Premier took over, huge success we have attained, a lot. And the few very important things I would like to mention. The most important thing to me that we have obtained successfully in our negotiation is our success to amend Article 1, Bracket 2 and Article 160 of the Federal Constitution, where the definition of the Federation is redefined. In accordance with the Malaysia Agreement 1963, together with the Cobalt Commission report and IGC report and all the annexures to it. This is the most important because by this amendment of the Federal Constitution, the federal government recognizes MA63. I think that is one of the most important success that we have. Article, that amendment, I think you know. So that's very crucial, where we say that the Federation of Malaysia is formed by virtue of MA63 and all the annexures, and most importantly also the recognition of IGC report.
Yes, and we must acknowledge the role played by our current governor who drove the process.
Yeah, he was the one.
Yes.
Before that, the proposed amendment was just very cosmetic almost. Just simple, but this one is real. So we thank you to our current governor for that. And that is one of the most important. The second one is, of course, the 5% sales tax. With that 5% sales tax, we have to go to court. Yeah? And then I remember in the judgment of the court, when they approve of our application, it says that Sarawak has every right to impose our laws and to implement our laws. The 5% tax, we got it. It's in the Federal Constitution. It's a result inside the IGC report, actually, yeah. So because of that, we have additional revenue to the state. Now we have additional revenue of 5 billion a year, just like that, because of the fight that we fought for the 5% tax, and that's one. And then now we also have successfully insist that we have a representative in LHDN. Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri. It's also in the IGC report. I think you know that, Prof.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so now, because if you don't fight for it, we won't be there.
Exactly.
Because the important thing about this is that when we are in LHDN, we are able to see and we know how much the revenue coming from the state, you see?
Yes.
Yeah, so from there we can see, yeah? So that's one of the most thing that we have been successful, and also distribution of gas. Now it's a hot topic now, but we cannot really talk about it because things are educated in courts now. And then also the environmental matters are now devolved to the state fully. It will be done in stages. That's why we will have our own environmental laws. And then also, what else? Tourism also. Now it's in the federal list. We are going to agree, but in the process of doing it, finalizing the details. We want it to be in the concurrent list. Of course, there are some issues. Some people say they want it to be in the state list or federally, but concurrent list is the way forward, and all these things. So these are the most important things that we have achieved. And the health autonomy and the education autonomy are all in the process of negotiation. Negotiation is ongoing. Prof, every day is a negotiation. Everything that we do, we always negotiate and negotiating all the time. So for health and for education autonomy, things are looking positive in the right directions, but there's no real concrete decision. But things are moving in the right direction, so we are all in negotiation.
I think a lot of the misconception comes from the fact that ordinary people think that it's just a simple matter of pointing out to the federal government, these areas are under MA63, therefore we take it back. But in reality, right, dealing with the federal government is also a process and a bureaucratic thing. So nothing can be done immediately. You have to go through a process. And I think that's where a lot of misinformation comes from. People post as if, we can just get it immediately. It doesn't work that way.
The way we negotiate is that, of course, we are very well prepared. We do our research, we even go to London, do everywhere to really see and to study thoroughly. And we are very well equipped. So the process of negotiation in all MA63, they go to various levels. We have first the Penyelaras level, the what do you call it? Working committee.
Yes.
The committee committee, and then we have the technical committee, and then we have the main committee. The Majlis Tindakan MA63. We're going through all these processes, so we have to go through. Not so easy. It's not that we want to do this and we just go there and fight for it. No, we go through all the process, and these are really proper way to do it.
Yes.
So we don't miss out things.
Yes.
It's done properly lah.
So let me ask you, what are the key outstanding issues that the Sarawak government will be bringing up besides health and education issues? What are the other key issues that the Sarawak government would like to discuss with federal government on autonomy? This one, our special grant under Article 112D. When the MA63 says that Sabah and Sarawak will have special grant. Yes.
What we are proposing to the federal government is that there must be some formula for them to review the grant.
Yes.
So this one we have not gotten it. They, of course, in the budget last time, the Prime Minister announced they're giving us additional grant of maybe how many? 600 million.
Yes, but that's a temporary measure.
That's a temporary measure, but we have a formula that we presented to them based on the revenue that we contributed to the country. I don't really have that formula, but we proposed that, but the one has not been agreed upon. That's one. And then, of course, in certain things on distribution of gas matter, but I can't also talk about that seriously now, but it's still ongoing. And then the health and the education is still, and then some judicial matters also that we propose to administer some judicial matters of administration of judiciary to be given back to us. So that one also in the process. And basically the big things are that lah.
Right. So my understanding is that the appointment of judicial commissioners that used to be done at the Sabah Sarawak level, this has been taken back, right? So now we can control the appointments of judicial commissioners. Previously, Kuala Lumpur took it away without really consulting us.
And then the other one that's still outstanding is, of course, the 35% representation in Parliament. I think that's one of the most significant one that we have also tabled this, have discussed, so it's still outstanding.
Yes.
So no decision yet on this.
Yes. I'm a strong believer that we have to get back the one-third seats in Parliament
Yeah.
for all sorts of reasons, but basically for two major reasons. One is this is to correct a historical error. When Singapore left the Federation, those seats should have been redistributed to Sabah Sarawak, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's one point. The second point I always make is that it is so crucial for Sabah and Sarawak to get one-third, because this means that whatever they do in Malaya, they understand that they cannot have political stability if they don't have one-third support from Sabah Sarawak.
Yeah.
Right now, we are 25%, which means we're neither here, neither there. So if they know that they require Sabah and Sarawak support their political stability, this probably over the long run means that whether they like it or not, they have to reserve one of the DPM position for Sabah Sarawak.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
okay.
you can't have political stability.
Yeah.
So this is really, really important.
Why should we go to the Dewan Negara? These are senators. They are not elected representatives. What we want is for the Dewan Rakyat, our members of parliament, that voted by the people.
That's
The
right.
representative of the people. This is the voice.
Yes.
This is where we make laws.
Mm.
You know, you don't table a law in the Senate, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not that. We don't want that.
That's right. And also the
It might
Senate.
look good and
Yes,
easy,
yes.
but we don't want things to be so easy.
Correct.
We want, we have to have at least one-third. Otherwise, when we form the Malaysia, we have this entity, right? There's Nanjung entity, Sabah and Sarawak entity, two entities. We don't want any one entity can easily amend any provisions in the federal constitution. At least we have some say, we have some voice. We voice are heard. Our MPs and our representation matters.
Yes.
So because they can't amend the constitution without us participating.
Yes.
It does not matter. It does not really. It's not just for our rights, It's for the overall in whatever amendment they want to do.
Yes.
At least they recognize that we are there. So it cannot be the Senate.
Yes. That's why I said this is to correct historical error.
Yeah.
And also the Senate has no legitimacy. And we all know, right, even the prime ministers, all the major cabinet ministers come from the Dewan Rakyat, not the Dewan Negara.
Yeah. These are voted by the
Yes,
people.
yes,
We want
yes,
a people representative by the people. So for the state, no, we will not go along that. We will stick to fighting for our 35% in Parliament.
Yes.
This will take a while, not so easy, but we continue to pursue this.
Right. So my understanding is Sarawak government and the Sabah government has actually submitted a formal proposal to the federal government.
We have.
And the other misunderstanding in the general public is that this thing can be done immediately. It's not for this coming election. It's probably for the next election, isn't it? It's something that can be done only after redelineation and a constitution amendment.
Yeah. Yes. It cannot be. You understand that,
Yes,
Prof.
yes,
And then we have to work within everything within the scope that we are given.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to proceed according to legal procedures as well.
Legally, have to go through the Attorney General opinions, all these opinions that we have to go through, sift through. It's not so
Correct.
so easy.
And also, we also have to convince the political class in Malaya to support us.
Yeah. You understand that, I think, Prof.
That's the reason I wanted to do this podcast with you, to make sure that the people in Sarawak understands. Because once you join the federation, you become a member of the club, and therefore you must follow the rules of the club. And also, if you keep asking for special concessions, does this mean that other states in Malaya, for example, states with very, very strong state views, places like Kelantan and Johor, they may ask for state rights as well? How do you answer that?
What? No, we are very different from any other states in Malaya. You said play by the rules. We are playing by the rules now. This is what playing by the rules mean, When you talk about federalism, when we form the country, we are not joining Malaysia. We are forming the country.
That's right. We are the founder states.
We are the founder state. We are very different from states, say, Perlis or Selangor. We are the entity that formed the country. Without Sarawak, there wouldn't be a Malaysia.
Correct.
So what we are doing is really what our forefathers has agreed upon, and these are all stated in the IGC report, MA63, and the Cobalt Commission, So if you look at Malaysia Agreement Article 8, I'm sure you know that any other any safeguards or proposal that has not been implemented can be followed through by executive action, legislative actions, and any other actions that is required to put in place what we have agreed upon in 1963. So what we're doing really is following what has been agreed upon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and other states, what right? I mean, they're different. They're Malaya at that time, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Is that right, Prof? I think you should know.
Yes. Back in those days, in the 50s and 60s, North Borneo or Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore are basically autonomous self-administrative states under the British colonial system.
People have to understand that Sarawak and Sabah are very different. We are the entity that form the country.
Correct.
We don't join the country, we form it.
Yes.
So that is very crucial.
Yes.
And then, when you talk about federation, it's normal that, in the federation, you have the federalist. It's in the constitution, right? You have the federalist, you have the state list. What we are demanding are what is supposed to be in the state list anyway. Even health and education, although in the federal list, but the constitution allow us to have executive authority over these matters. So that's it, because we know our state very well, so that we know what hospital to build first, what school that is in the problem of certain schools that we can solve, so there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. Precisely, we're following the law, the federation, state list, federal list, and then,
And also, we want to build the Malaysia that our forefathers wanted.
Yes, this is the spirit, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is what we want, actually. And then I think overseas also in a federalism system, it's okay to have autonomy. State can be very autonomous, isn't it?
Yes. There are many models. The one where the constituent units have the largest autonomy is probably the UK system, where Scotland is almost fully autonomous. So there are many different models. So Datuk, finally, one final question. What do you want Sarawakians to know about the Sarawak government's, what will the Sarawak government do in terms of MA63, and what do you foresee the future for MA63 and Sarawak?
Yeah, I just want everyone to know, especially Sarawakians, to trust that the government always puts Sarawak first. That what we are doing, a serious negotiation that is not easy, but we're pursuing it. The Premier can only do this if he is strong politically. Nobody wants to listen to a Sarawakian who doesn't have any political clout. So it's important that I feel that we support Yang Maha Premiers in this, because Prof, it's not so easy to negotiate, especially with the Malayan people. So he needs some very strong support of the rakyat to ensure that whatever we fight under MA63, we can get it back. It's not going to be easy.
Yes.
The priority is always for Sarawak first.
Yes.
This is even what he always say. We'll fight, but he needs the support of the rakyat. It has to be full support. Nobody will listen to a premier that doesn't have the full support of the rakyat.
Yes.
So that's very important in our negotiation.
And I think related to this is that we also need Sabah to be united as well.
Yeah.
So we both can speak with the same voice.
Yes. And and I just want to know that in our negotiation for the state, and Yang Maha Premier has always mentioned, there are 4 matters that we really do not open for negotiation at all. Can I just mention the 4 matters? Number 1 is, of course, our immigration rights. Yeah, you know that. Number 2 is our rights towards the continental shelf, our boundary, sea boundary up to the continental shelf. It's not just 2 or 3 nautical miles. And this is non-negotiable because these falls under our land law actually. Land is under the state list.
That's right.
So these are matters that are non-negotiable, and that our rights towards our natural resources that is found within that continental shelf. So these are non-negotiable. that we want the people to know also that we never compromise on this. And that we have also the fourth one, I think, is that we have every right to implement our laws. Nobody can say that our law is inferior, that we don't have the right to our laws. For instance, like oil mining ordinance or land code, these are laws that was never, OMO was never annulled or never cancelled. It's there, so we have every right to enforce it. So this one, it can always coexist with any other laws in the country.
Sure.
So these are the 4 non-negotiable matters that we have under MA63. So as in relation to MA63, I'm very hopeful that we can achieve what we asked for, but it will take a bit of time. I think we don't lose hope. What's important is that we support our Premier in his negotiation and in our fight for MA63. I think we have to support him because there's no other way to, you know what I mean. You have to be strong in order to face.
I think the other very important point is that we have to understand whatever we get is really not for this generation. It's for the future generation.
For the future, yeah. It is for the future.
Yes.
We are doing it now for the future generation.
Yes.
So the future generation will have it easier, but they will have to continue to be fighting for Sarawak.
I'm constantly reminding people that Sabah and Sarawak, we have our very own unique history.
Yeah.
And we have our very own unique identity. And MA63 is really part of the boilerplate. It's actually part of the core parts of the identity in Sarawak and Sabah.
Yes.
And it's very important for the younger generation to understand that, yes, we did help establish the Federation of Malaysia, but when we came in with our eyes open, and we wanted to build a very progressive Malaysia, and that's the reason why we have a thing called Malaysia Agreement. And after 60 years, we really have to sit back and look at it and see how we can proceed and move forward.
Yeah, we can always look back, review, what we have not done, what we have done for the future generation.
Right.
And I especially also like to, for Sabah and Sarawak, our racial composition, religious freedom, religious tolerance, understanding of each other, that is very crucial.
Yes.
We have to be
and all those things,
multifaceted.
all those things are actually part of Sarawak identity.
Yeah.
And we must never lose it. We must fight to retain it.
The interesting thing is that if you are in the one here, you can speak on local dialects. That is good.
Yes.
So we maintain that. So we have to our unique character of Sabah and Sarawak.
Yes.
So
Well, thank you very much, Datuk.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. I know it's very busy, and I hope that on my next trip to Sarawak, we will have more interactions like this.
Thank you.
Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.